What's going on, YouTube? This is Punysurfers coming at you again with another episode. I'm thinking about actually just covering one of the subjects I actually grew up on as a kid, and that would be Godzilla. Now, I think with most of everyone that has dealt with Godzilla actually watched, or at least probably started out watching Godzilla, probably thanks to the 1998 version, at least around the time when kids were my age. Now, let's be honest. Stupid people outside of the motorcycles. That's what you get, live in the city. But regardless, here's the deal. The 1998 version of Godzilla that was made here in America, whether you like it or not, I would say, and I would even argue that kind of started the popularity for the Toho version for Americans to actually seek out, at least in my opinion, for the younger audience to actually look at what Godzilla truly is. Because shortly after that version of the Godzilla film that came out, Godzilla 2000 actually came right after that, and that's kind of where my journey through Godzilla started. I thought, honestly, I saw 1988 Godzilla. I thought it was pretty freaking cool. Little kids don't know better. Baby. Then I saw the Godzilla 2000, and I thought, holy crap, this is actually a heck of a lot better. Like, I love the destruction aspect of it. And heck, even Godzilla himself looks actually pretty cool, but he has to follow another monster that even was equally cool and weird at the same time. Not get into detail, but if you haven't seen the Godzilla 2000 movie yet, I would recommend it to a casual viewer. But at this point, I think now Godzilla has gained in popularity to where I think a lot of people are going to know who he is and seen a lot of his movies. So I can't really put in perspective on the history of Godzilla because there's been tons of videos and tons of podcasts who have done it already. But if anything, I'll just give you my take on it. But like I said from the beginning, I would actually view as the 1998 Godzilla film, or was it 1998? Yeah. As pretty much the pinnacle, or not pinnacle, at least the starting force for Americans actually knowing what Godzilla was. Yeah, there was other releases of Godzilla that came out beforehand, but you never. I don't think people actually quite grew up with it as much as they are growing up with Godzilla now. I mean, for Pete's sakes, there's actually a universe. By the way, I'm loving this part right here, where Americans have our own version of Godzilla, and Toho's actually producing their own Godzillas now, and both are doing freaking fantastic. I absolutely love it. I think it's a blast. I think it's a joy. Give me more. Give me more. But yeah, I figure I'd kind of take a journey going down the history, at least what I've seen in Godzilla, and can just give you my 2 cents on as I grew up as the films I saw that I actually really enjoyed. Now, I'm not going to talk about every single Godzilla film I saw. I'm just going over what I can remember, because my problem with this is I do a lot of this off script, and it's probably a bad habit, but I feel it's more authentic and more honest if I actually go in blind, just on top of my head. But I'll start off, like I said, with the 1988 Godzilla film. Saw that, moved on from that to actually watching Godzilla 2000. And as soon as I was done with that, I actually asked my mom, hey, can we look more for these videos? And that's kind of where my journey started. Back when you still had like video stores that you can actually rent, like Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, and I think there was one called AZ Video or something, or whatever. I would go there and actually look for the Godzilla films that they had currently available. And I think because of the releases for the first 2 Godzilla films I told you about, now the ones from the 70s are start rolling in, and then later on down from the 80s and then into the 90s. Most of the stuff I rented through were actually from the 70s, and later on down the road, Sci-Fi, the channel that actually viewed a lot of the sci-fi movies, the one really, really good ones, in my opinion, that's actually where I saw most of the Godzilla films, and I was completely blown away because most of the films I saw on Sci-Fi with Godzilla were actually part of the Heisei series. And that's where kind of like I felt, yeah, that's my Godzilla. Like that's just top of the tier. You can't beat that, and so forth. And by then, I think my favorite one at that time, that this was back in like 2000, actually around 2003, I believe. My favorite Godzilla film up to that date was actually Godzilla versus Destroyer, and I think I just liked it because each of the character designs were so freaking cool. Didn't really understood the storyline of it, but I do now because I got older and I looked more into it. I wouldn't have seen the film in years. But other than that, I thought that was probably the tier list of Godzilla films. Now, as the years gone by, the internet actually is getting bigger. You're able to watch more things, actually look up more things as convenient as possible before, even before then. So you're able to access all the information, and here I'm finding out there's like 20 plus Godzilla films at this point, and I'm just like, I need to watch them all. Now I still haven't watched them all. Some of the Millennium stuff and some of the films in the 70s I haven't seen yet. Sorry about that. That's actually my phone going off. I gotta get a different ringtone. I love that ringtone, but it's getting out of hand at this point. But going over Godzilla, it's one of the kind of iconic characters that you can actually associate with. Most likely, maybe not in Japan necessarily, but what the history and the themes were for it. And of course, the theme of nuclear power actually created its own monster for our own destruction, as you can argue with it. But yeah, that's pretty much the overarching theme behind it is we humans create our own destruction. And going down the line from beginning to end, you can turn that destruction into something good to benefit humanity, but at the same time too, you're still destroying yourselves at the same time. And I thought it was pretty cool. But yeah, so from what I remember correctly, going down the list is the one video for some odd reason I decided to pick up was actually the son of Godzilla, and I thought this was gonna be awesome, like seeing Godzilla growing up, or at least actually have a son that he races. And I thought this was gonna be so awesome, gonna be a lot of destruction. And yeah, no, they're stuck on an island, and the thing that Godzilla finds doesn't even turn out to be like a sun or anything. It just turns to be like this gray looking like silly putty monster, and they call him Manila, I think. Yeah, Manila. And just this thing was so horrible. Like I don't understand the whole. I don't understand the design, and I think I think the studio kind of thought the same thing afterwards, because I have yet to see Manila back in. I mean, I could be wrong, I probably am, but after that, I have yet to see him. Now, of course, to go into the Heisei series, I've seen. Let's see, what was it? I've seen Godzilla versus Space Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, I believe, and there was one with Mothra and what was it? It was the like the evil twin of Mothra. I remember seeing that, although I probably want to rewatch that because I think I can't remember that one at all. And then of course Godzilla vs. Destroyer. I think I remember more of the Heisei era than anything else because of just how cool it was. Now, Godzilla Biollante, that's a one film I do want to see. That and Godzilla 1984. Those two are the most I want to see next. And on the Millennium side, I think will kind of slow me down a little bit, because the Millennium side, after Godzilla 2000s, were a little, from what I read and what I kind of seen so far, were a little low to when it comes to, compared to sorry about that. I'm doing this around close to 11 o'clock, getting a little tighter, my bad. But going forward, I just remember the storyline, or at least the continuity in the Millennium era for Godzilla wasn't really that good, and some of it didn't really make any sense. AKA the the Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, which they don't call him Mechagodzilla. I think they call it Kira or something like that. And yeah, apparently of course they designed Mechagodzilla, at least that Millennium version, after the model of Godzilla, but they decided to use the bones of the original Godzilla that died from the oxygen destroyer. So I'm like, okay, that makes total sense, but it's Godzilla, of course it's not gonna make sense. But overall, the storylines from that on is just a little weak. Like, I think it was in Godzilla versus Megaguirus, I believe. And basically, it was Godzilla versus a big, giant dragonfly monster. And the whole entire idea of that movie was Godzilla. They're trying to destroy Godzilla by using or creating a black hole. Now, try to wrap your hand around that. They seem to have just the Godzilla not the Godzilla they're fighting, but the monster that Godzilla's going to fight as a secondary kind of person. And yeah, it just didn't make any sense. I mean, it was cool seeing Godzilla trying to survive a black hole, but yeah, the film was just It was That's just how it is. Now, I think that's why Toho knew that the direction that they're heading with the Godzilla film. So what they ended up doing was doing Final Wars, and that's when they say, you know what, we know this is silly, we know it's gonna be dumb, just here's some money and put this shit show together and just release it, because I think they were thinking about not really ending Godzilla, but kind of resting in it for a while. And they did. They created a film, Final Wars, and it is exactly what you expected. It's just super cheesy, but it's so much fun to watch. So much fun to watch. Yeah, and not even paying attention to what the other characters were, but I think this is one of the films that continues with humans having like superpowers and whatnot. And I'm like, why are you adding this to a Godzilla film? But I digress. Now, I forget how long it was, but I think it was 2007, 2008. Up until 2014, there was like no word or no mention of Godzilla. And yeah, it sucked, but I think the reason why Toho did that was because people would start missing Godzilla because they haven't seen him in a while. And I think that's kind of true. Sometimes you need a break for something from seeing something so much that you kind of start appreciating more and build up more hype as time goes on when it comes back. And that's pretty much that's what you need. That's the hype that you need for a franchise like this to keep going. And that's what Toho was doing. I think they knew, hey, look, we know Godzilla. We know this thing's going to make us more money as we keep going on. Let's just give it a break, and let's try to maximize it as much as we can. Now, by doing this, you have studios from America, which I think was like Legendary Pictures, acquire. I think they have. I don't call them rights, but they made a deal with Toho where both of them can create Godzilla, but one can't release their Godzilla at the same time as the other one. And I'm to be fair, I love Legendary Godzilla. I mean, that 2014 movie was pretty good. It was just a major cock tease, and that's all it was. It was just a major cock tease. But I did love the design of Godzilla. I thought it was pretty cool. I love the freaking yelling at it. Like it maybe it was because it was Adobe or whatever, but the sound design of it was just freaking sharp and clean. Although all it was just a cock tease of it. And then, because of that, it was a start off. They had to release Kong Skull Island, and you know the story. It just keeps progressing up with more films for Legendary, and then Toho decides, let's bring back our version, and they decided to get the guy who actually created freaking Neon. Evangelion, sorry, and just let him have the reins of it for Shin Godzilla. Now, first and foremost, Shin Godzilla is a freaking scary freak of nature. That's all. That's what he is. Because his design is pretty much unlike anything I've really seen. It's like if Godzilla's like whole entire skin and scales were burned off, and you just see like the tendons and whatnot, and he just looks like he's in constant pain. And I think that's what he was going for. I mean, this thing, I guess you could say he has two heads, because I mean, his one tail freaking shoots laser and it looks like it has a freaking head with some teeth inside. It's just, I don't know exactly how they were able to create this look for him, but oh man, it was so cool. I personally wish they would have continued on with Shin Godzilla, because you know, at the very end you see little hints of these little mini Godzillas popping out of his tail, and want to figure out what they're going to do with that. I really wish they would continue, at least give like an ending of it. Please, Toho, just fish Shin Godzilla, okay? All right, and then I think after Shin Godzilla, like I can't remember if it was before or after, but one of my favorite legendary picture Godzilla films was actually Godzilla King of the Monsters. Now, I thought that was so freaking cool, because they made King Ghidorah looks so badass, and like made him look almost impossible to beat, and it was just so cool to watch Godzilla like just fighting and actually claim his throne as the king of the monsters. Hence the title, of course. And I just enjoyed it so much. I loved it. I wanted more, and just lo and behold, they delivered more and more. And the next one was actually was it Godzilla versus Kong afterwards? So is that the title, or is it the other way? Anyway, you know which one I'm talking about. And to the extent I do like the film, but I just don't love it as much as King of the Monsters. And that's because I think it's because of them fighting Mechagodzilla, and the design for Mechagodzilla I actually understand, and I don't mind it, but at the same time too, they just make Mechagodzilla as a like little lost puppy, in my opinion, or like some sort of, I don't know. It just looked like it just didn't jive with me. I can't believe I just used jive. Like, they don't use that anymore. But yeah, that was it was a good wrestling match. That's all it was. As Count Dracula and the Horror Guru has said, it was just one big freaking wrestling match, and they were all in it. And I would say I was so in it too. It just felt like Mechagodzilla was just a last minute decision to put in, and the way they created Mechagodzilla, or at least how they were able to use him, was just freaking ridiculous. But that's just Godzilla for you. Everything about this whole entire series and this franchise is just freaking insane. That's all it is, and that's all it'll ever be, and that's why we love it. That's what we're going to keep within our hearts. And then after Godzilla versus Kong comes, what was it? Did the Frozen Empire come first, or did -1 come for next afterwards? Anyway, it was weird. Both of those movies actually were like, I feel like they were coming simultaneously. It's like we were getting double Godzilla, and it was just it's getting big. Frozen Empire for Legendary, it was actually it was okay. Not as good as Kong. Godzilla versus Kong, but it's up there. It's up there. They were close, like not even by an inch. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's so close. It's not even funny. Now, when Godzilla -1 came out, I started listening to reviews and just saying, okay, I mean, I'm gonna watch regardless. And people are praising this thing from left and right, and I'm just like, oh, I guess it's really good. And it's one of those few things where I guess they were praising even the human aspect of it. I'm like, oh, okay, let's check that out. And Yeah, actually, they're right. They're right. Is it my favorite Godzilla film? No. I can argue probably between the 1950, the original Godzilla film, or even Godzilla vs. Story as one of my favorites. But still, it was actually pretty cool. I think the reason why it worked so well is like they actually gave the characters emotion, especially with crap. Sorry, almost fell there for a second. What was I saying? So yeah, I would say, oh man, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, Godzilla minus one. It does deserve its praises. It does. I just don't think it's necessarily the best, but sometimes just take it with a grain of salt, because by doing that, I think more and more Godzilla films are coming out, which freaking amazing. Like I just want more. Give me more. Give me more. Give me more. And who knows? Maybe Toho will contact me and have my character try to surf with freaking Godzilla himself. But other than that, is just Godzilla is one of those guys where you can actually recognize him and the whole tire screeching noise. Whether you like him or not, you can't deny that he is a phenomenon that just won't go away, and he never will, and he'll make sure that he is king of the monsters. Until then, folks, thank you so much for joining. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you, guys. Bye.